Hey, hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a DIY on how I made this backpack out of a pair of Levi's. I found a few similar videos that were making a pair of pants into a backpack, but most of them were not in English and some of them had parts missing, so I figured I would just make my own. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share if you want to know how to make this super cool backpack. Keep watching. So the first thing you're going to need is 2 pairs of Levi's. I'm only showing 1 pair, but I actually ended up running out of fabric, so I had to grab a second pair and use fabric from that. Next, you are going to need some scissors, a seam ripper, measuring tape, and I also used a whole bunch of other optional rulers. So you're going to need a sewing machine, some pins, and a 30-inch double-sided bag zipper. I got mine on Amazon. So the first thing you're going to need to do is seam rip or cut along the seam of the inside of the pants, the inseam. You might need to use scissors for the thicker parts like on the crotch area and at the bottom of the jeans. So when you're finished with that, you're going to seam rip along the waistband. And you want to keep this kind of neat because we are going to be using the waistband. And it'll get a little difficult around the fly area, but you can use scissors for there as well. And then you're going to want to cut off all the belt loops, but still keeping them attached to the waistband. So next you're going to lay the remaining part of the jeans flat as shown, and we're going to mark about 2 inches below the crotch, a straight line across, and we're just going to cut that off. And when we're done with that, we're going to put the pants leg to the side, and we're going to flip over what we have, and we're going to cut along the back and the front seams, going against the zipper there. And then we're going to grab one of those pant legs and we're going to line the thicker side seam with the top, and we're just going to sew along the seam that is already on the pants. Then we're going to cut off that piece that we sewed on into a square. This is going to be the front of our backpack. And the measurements of this are 15 inches going across and roughly about 17 inches up and down. And now we're going to be cutting out the actual backpack shape. I kind of freehanded this. If you want to draw it before, that's up to you. And that is the front of our backpack. And I'm just going to sew on the Levi's label just because I like how it looked. So we're going to grab that other pant leg and line it up with this piece that we have, and we're going to cut out the same exact shape, and that's going to be the back of the backpack. So I think this is the part where the second pair of jeans comes in. I had cut out a piece of fabric that was 7 inches by 24 inches, and I'm just going to fold it in half and cut it at the 5-inch mark so that we have 2 pieces of fabric. One should be 2 inches by 24 inches and the other one should be 5 inches by 24 inches. I hope that makes sense. This is going to be the lining for the zipper. So we're going to take the zipper and put it in the middle. We're going to flip it over and line it up with the edge of the smaller piece of fabric, and we're just going to pin that down and sew it with a straight stitch. And now we're going to repeat it with the bigger piece of fabric on the other side of the zipper. And here I'm just testing out the zipper to make sure I didn't zip it closed. And now we're gonna fold over the bigger piece, just so that's a flap for the zipper. It gives it a cleaner finish. And I'm just checking to make sure that it's not pinned shut. And I'm also sewing this with the zipper open. So now we're gonna grab our waistband and we're gonna fold it in half and cut the back center of it and lay it flat on top of that flap that we just created with the belt loops pointing away from the zipper. And we're gonna sew that down the middle, skipping over the button area, and we're also gonna put some stitches down for the belt loops to stay in place as well. So once that piece is finished, we're gonna start on our side pockets for our backpack. We're gonna grab that piece of the jeans that we cut away that was attached to the fly, and we're gonna line up the piece that we just created on top of the pocket, and we're gonna cut a straight line so that it's the same width. But I'm trying to avoid actually cutting the pocket because we want it to still be functional. And we're gonna repeat this process with the other pocket, but I'm flipping it over just to be extra careful that I don't cut the pocket. So now we're gonna jump back to that first pocket, and we're just gonna cut along the top seam and make it nice and clean because we're about to attach it to the zipper. We're gonna move the zipper towards the middle so we don't sew it shut. And we're going to place the seam about 2 inches lower than the furthest belt loop and sew it along the seam. Then of course we're going to repeat it with the other side, but first we want to measure the arch of our front piece of our backpack and just make sure that the top strip that we're creating is the same length. So now we're going to take that strip, I'm going to mark where the center is. We're going to flip it over and pin it to the front of our backpack. And we're just making sure that there's no lumps or wrinkles. And this part takes a lot of patience. And I'm just making sure that I'm carefully and evenly lining up the fabrics with each other and making sure the pins go through both of the layers to hold it in place when I'm sewing. And of course, we're repeating the same process with the back of the bag, just lining it up, pinning it down, and sewing. So now for the base of the bag, I'm just measuring out what I have, and then I'm just gonna cut out a piece of fabric that matches that. And then we're just pinning and sewing that to the bottom of the bag. Yay, we're almost done. So if you flip your bag inside out, we have a backpack without straps. So for the straps, I had already made straps from a previous project that I ended up not using, so I'll be using them for this backpack, but they're just not long enough, so you can follow along for how I make the extensions. It's the same way, it's just going to be a longer piece of fabric. So we want our strap to be about 24 inches long, so the length of your 2 pieces of fabric should be a little over that, so like 26 by 5 inches, because we want the width of the strap to be about 2 inches long. So you're going to start by folding your 2 pieces of fabric in half the long ways, And you're going to pin about 2 inches in, and you're just gonna sew along that line. And here's the annoying part, but you have to turn the strap inside out. This is very tedious and annoying and frustrating, and it's like the worst thing to do ever. But when you're finished with that, your strap is done. So now to attach them, we're gonna seam rip a 4-inch slit on the back seam of the backpack, and we wanna make sure it's centered with the button. Then we're gonna insert the straps to that hole, line them up evenly, and we're going to pin them down and sew a straight line on the inside of the bag. And now we're gonna cut off the extra fabric. And then for the bottom part of the straps, we're gonna go to the side seams and cut at least a 2-inch slit and insert the strap in, make sure it's not twisted, and pin it down and sew. And of course we're going to do the same for the other side. Still making sure that our straps are not twisted. It's done! Woohoo! We got a backpack! Woo woo woo!
I'm hearing voices in my head tell me keep going. I'm all about my money cause my feelings gone. I fell in love with the diesel cause it's always strong. I show love to my people cause they homegrown. I'm hearing voices in my head tell me keep going. I'm all about my money cause my feelings gone. I fell in love with the diesel cause it's always strong. I show love to my people cause they homegrown. Yeah, cause they homegrown. I'm trapping on the phone, trying to put my people on. Every time I check my phone, I got